All right, today we are going to do a very brief recap of World War I. Let's start here in the bottom left-hand corner looking at the causes of the war in Europe. And if you remember, we taught y'all to remember the word main to help remember those causes. Militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. World War I had been building and brewing for quite some time in Europe, and all it really needed was one spark to set it off and everything be pulled into place to cause the war. That spark, if you remember, was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. And when he is assassinated, it calls into play all of the alliances that had been made across Europe, and a grand war began. Now, World War I is going to look different than all previous wars. It was a total war, an all-out war, because technology had kind of caught up to weaponry and machinery. And so we had all kinds of new weapons in the war. Specifically, we had machine guns, poison gases, submarines or U-boats, airplanes, and of course, the main style of fighting was defensive. It was trench warfare, focused for the main part in France. With that, United States is going to try to stay out for a very long time. This idea of neutrality and isolationism was key. But slowly but surely, the United States is going to be pulled in. Our major trade partners were Great Britain and France, and they were embroiled in this war, not to mention the large number of European immigrants to the United States who had ties and alliances back to their home countries. And so slowly but surely, the United States inches into war. Now, the United States will enter the war 3 years into it. And the reason that we are pulled into that war has to do with the Zimmerman telegram and unrestricted submarine warfare. If you remember the Zimmerman note, from Germany, it was a telegram that was intercepted. It was from Germany to Mexico, asking Mexico to join the war and fight the United States to keep us busy on our side of the ocean. The other important thing to remember, and I'm going to insert a star for this, was Germany was using their U-boats to launch unrestricted submarine warfare on any vessels, passenger or military, civilian or military, that crossed the Atlantic Ocean. And so Germany began sinking American ships. And as a rule, America does not like it when you sink our boats and American lives are lost. And that is going to be also an ongoing factor to America entering World War I. When America does enter World War I, we go over in 1917 and begin fighting. One of the key battles that the United States will be involved in is the Battle of the Argonne Forest. I'm going to put a little star by that. And at that battle, you have the great war hero Alvin York wins his Medal of Honor there, and he emerges as the most decorated soldier from the United States during World War I. You have the draft that begins here in the United States and all sorts of support on the American home front. Woodrow Wilson was president at the time, another little star, and he comes up with a plan for the end of the war called the 14 points. He wanted there to be a lot of healing and forgiveness and moving on. And so he kind of emphasizes a lot of these things, specifically the creation of the League of Nations, which will be problematic within the United States. However, the leaders in Europe reject Wilson's idea, and instead they go with the Treaty of Versailles as the peace document for World War I. Overall, this is a very harsh document, a very punishing document. Germany's punishment will lead to many of the problems that cause World War II. The harshness, forced to pay the money back, loss of their territories, and especially accepting guilt and blame for the war will be some of the things that Hitler seizes upon in his rise to power.